we thought that we would take this opportunity this week where, maybe there's not a lot going on to kind of spitball some ideas about what we want for the next 3D Zelda game.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm excited about this. I think this is going to be a topic that we might revisit like a couple different times.
Yeah, I agree because I think like the list kind of changes. And
Yeah.
I'm sure I had some of these things on my list back prior to Tears when we were talking about what we wanted from Tears, what we expected. But I didn't get some of those things. And it's not like I was left wanting. It's just that I didn't get those things, but I got other things and I was okay with it. I love Tears, but I wouldn't mind seeing these things either return or kind of be changed or whatever in the next 3D Zelda game.
Yeah. So let's just get into it here. And I have a qualifier for my list. Because I kind of wrote like what I want from the next 3D Zelda game, assuming that like Nintendo is going to keep the open world formula. I think that
Yes.
that's safe to say.
Yes.
Would I love like an Ocarina of Time style game? Yes. And I actually like I don't think that's impossible that they might just deliver that kind of experience to like as like a stopgap in between, like almost like a Link's Awakening 2019 kind of a game.
Hmm.
Maybe it's a new Zelda game. I don't know, but like I could see them making like those kind of smaller, for lack of a better word, Zelda games, as kind of like a buffer in between the big Zelda games, almost like how the
Hmm.
3DS used to offer that back in the day. So my list is kind of here, and I just have like 10 bullet points of things I want from the next 3D Zelda game. But my list is just assuming that it's going to be open world and it's going to have like some, maybe even a lot of similar elements as Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Did you kind of make your list with the same
Yeah,
assumptions?
I'm pretty sure we're open world from here on out. I wouldn't be surprised if we get something like you said, something here and there that's just like kind of goes back to a little bit more traditional, like linear looking. But I'm pretty sure I made mine like that as well, where I'm like, I'm sure we're gonna have open world, but I think all these things are possible.
I do too. Okay, so with that being said, that's our qualifiers. Let's go. Let's get it started here. And so Al and I we've not cross referenced. We don't know what each other has on our own list, but I'm assuming that there's probably a few similar things
Hmm.
that we have on. So I tried to be a little bit more specific with like some of them that I wanted. So yeah, let's just get into them, Al. Let's just get into them. Do you want to go
Okay.
first, or do you want me to go first?
I can go first.
Okay.
I feel like I have a weird first choice, but I like after Tears, I don't know if I want to go back to a Zelda game without this ability or something like it. And I would really like to see Ascend return. I think Ascend wound up being such a cool
Hmm.
ability and like so helpful for just like retracing steps, or you're just like, I don't want to go back through this whole cave. I'm just going to zoom up to the top of the cave, to get back outside, or solving puzzles and shrines and stuff. And I just like I kind of feel like we were spoiled a little bit with that ability. Like you literally just like break through the game and get to another point in the game. And it's like, how do you go back to Zelda without that? I don't know.
Do you remember when I was dogging on Ascend
Yeah,
when
I
when
do.
it was shown? I mean, to be
Mhm.
fair, it didn't look very cool, like compared to the other ones, right? But like, yeah, I think you're right. Like, I think if it's gonna be an open world game, which we've said that I think it's gonna be, they gotta have like something that allows like kind of quicker travel like that. I didn't put that on my list, but I think you're right. Like something like an Ascend or Rivali's Gale, something that lets you get from point A, like vertical specifically, very quickly. I think is very
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. And I mean, I have another thing on my list that I'll talk about later that helps with that kind of movement as well. But it's more of like an outside feature. Whereas, like this, it's like you could be in almost any situation. If you have a roof over your head, you can ascend through it. And I just,
Right.
like I said, I can't imagine going back to playing an open world Zelda game without that. It feels weird. Like we've had it this whole time.
It would be tough, I think, to go back without it for sure.
Hmm.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that for your first one here, so that's great.
Yeah.
I kind of have like the ones for my first two that probably
I have a few duh ones, so it's okay.
anybody that's listened to this show for a while, I'm sure is gonna be able to just guess what I'm gonna say here for my first two. So I'm gonna do the first two, get them out of the way. But
Okay.
I think that like first and foremost, what we need. There's a lot of things that I just kind of wrapped up into one burrito here. But I think that we need a freshen up, a new formula, a however you want to call it. Like I think that let's go down the list here. Like clearly we need a new Hyrule. Like definitely we need a new Hyrule. We need a new world. We need a new whatever. I think we really need a new art style for the next game.
Mm-hmm.
And Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom is my favorite art style in Zelda. I just want to say, like, I really love
Mm-hmm.
the Ghibli influence of it. But like, if you think about it, we're coming up on 10 years of this art style because the Zelda Wii U trailer was first shown in 2014, and
Oh
we're not that far
yeah.
away from 2024. So like, it's
Mm-hmm.
been a long time with the same art
Yep.
style. And we had the Link's Awakening in between, which was fantastic. But I think that yeah, just like something new, even if it's just like a subtle change, like how you went from Twilight Princess to Skyward Sword, just something different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think like the small things, like as part of this freshen up, like new menu sounds, like how many
Yeah.
it's a little thing, but like a very subliminal thing, but like the doo doo doo, like those sounds that you hear from Breath of the Wild, those feel very specific to like those open world Switch games rather than to like the Zelda series as a whole. Like, of course, like I still want like the chest opening sound, like da da
Mm-hmm.
da da, but
Yep.
like just new smaller sounds and stuff like that. And just just like a new formula, right? Like I think that Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild follow a very, very similar formula, which works
Mm-hmm.
for those games. But I think that if you're gonna do a new, like, I think if you're gonna do a new open world game, you need to think of something else, like a new way to do it, a new progression, something. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just like I said, I kind of rolled everything up into one here, just like a freshen up. Like I'm talking art style, sounds, world, everything. I think everything needs to be new.
I get what you're saying, and I agree, and I was just thinking about this is like I don't think we're used to staying with like an art style or an era as long as we have for Breath of the Wild's Age
Yeah,
of Calamity, Tears of the Kingdom. Usually like when a game comes out 5 to 6 years later, it's a different art style. If it's
yeah,
a direct sequel, it's coming out 1 to 2 years later, and then the span of that series is like maybe 4 or 5 years max, maybe not even that, but like this has been like you said, it's almost been 10 years even if you are just counting the initial release of this art style. So
right.
I agree, it does feel a little bit like we're a bit tired, and it's time to it also feels so weird to say this because it's like it's time to reinvent the wheel, but they did that with Breath of the Wild, but that was 2017. So it's like it's time to
Yeah,
reinvent the wheel again. And I feel bad for saying that. I feel like this turnaround is insane. I've said that before, but if you want to keep making money,
I
you got to bring some new paint, I guess.
that's an analogy I was gonna make is like I don't know that it's reinventing the wheel necessarily because I think that
Mhm.
there's like I if they were to make a new 3D Zelda game, a new open world 3D Zelda game, when they do it, like I'm sure that there's going to be like 60% of all like the same stuff that carries over, like the engine, like probably breakable
Mhm.
weapons, probably shrines, which I'll get to in a bit.
Ugh.
But like it needs a new coat of paint.
Yeah.
Like it needs something to differentiate it. And I'm pretty confident that this would happen actually, because like what has a new mainline Zelda game really not had like a that kind of new coat of paint, unless it's a direct sequel, which obviously Tears of the Kingdom is. But
Mhm.
that's like just the first thing. Like I think that this new game needs to stand out on its own, and in order to do that, it needs that fresh coat of paint.
Yeah. And I mean, the fact that you said like maybe breakable weapons will come back in shrines, and I'm like, no, those are the Switch Zelda game era. I'm done with this era. I'm ready for the next era.
Yeah, I've got
So,
more to say about that.
okay. Okay, I'll do my second one. This is kind of like adding on to the movement of Ascend. I would like to, instead of climbing, which I really do enjoy. I like climbing. I like hopping and bip bopping up a cliff. I wouldn't mind having the hook shot come back, or items similar
Mm,
to help you like climb up places in a more direct, quick, efficient way. So, I just also put in parentheses beside the hook shot, like old items that we've seen, like whips and stuff. I just anything that kind of helps with movement. I would just like to see that return because I feel like yes, it would be something that's been done before, but it hasn't been done in a while. So
yeah,
I feel like it would feel like refreshing.
I agree. Uh,
Yeah.
I feel like I don't want to elaborate too much on that because I've got something to build
Okay.
on that. But I agree. Like I think like climbing is great. But I do think like it's kind of like there's a little bit too much of
It
it.
gets tedious. It
Yeah.
gets like you're like, oh, okay, let me drink a speed potion. Let me put on my so I could do this fast, or let me use
Yeah.
Rivali's Gale, or let me ascend. And like, I love all those things. I love all the helps that you get to climbing. But we've had it for 2 games now, two really big
Yeah.
games, and I loved it. But I don't think we need to continue.
I would agree. I think like I mean I think climbing's probably coming back. I didn't put this on my list, but just like off the top of my head, like I think that like I definitely agree. Like you got to have something that will allow you to either like climb fast or skip climbing or whatever, right? Like, and again,
Mhm.
I kind of have something like this on my list, but and then like the rain, Jesus, God, Murphy,
Yeah.
like get rid of anything that impedes you from climbing. Like I'm sick of the rain. Uh,
Yeah. But if you have
yeah,
like, like the digging mitts, if you maybe say you get the digging mitts and you can
yeah,
go underground, but then they also
exactly.
help you dig and climb, that would be cool. That would be
Yes.
a return of an old item and used in a new way.
I completely agree with that. I think that you're spot on. Like items that I'm just gonna jump to the thing that I wanted to talk about. But um, yeah, I think like what the next 3D Zelda game needs is like actual I'm gonna call them dungeon items for lack of a better term. But so I think that breakable weapons are gonna come back. I
Ugh,
think yeah,
I
I
don't
know.
like that.
I think that I think that the way that you fight is going to be similar. There's probably going to be like abilities and stuff, but like offset that with dungeon items. And you don't even necessarily have to get them in a dungeon, but you know what I mean? Like maybe after you beat the
Yeah.
first dungeon, you get the magma mitts and that just allows you to climb without using stamina. Great.
Hmm.
That almost completely eliminates the tediousness of climbing. Or
Hmm.
like the second one, you get a hook shot, and it's like, okay, great, I can use this item permanently. It's never gonna break, and I'm just gonna use it to get me to the top here. Or like, you know what I mean? Like get those kinds of items, and I'm not talking like a bow, and I'm not talking bombs or stuff like that, but like
Right.
creative items like that where they help you.
Bring the spinner back.
Hey, that'll be cool. Like but just like it helps you progress in the world and is useful and it doesn't break. You don't have to worry about it. It's like it's an actual reward. Like once you have it, it's yours to use as often as you want, right?
Hmm.
Like honestly, even like the paraglider is a decent example of that because like let's just say that you don't get that until halfway through the next 3D Zelda game and it's like okay, well now you have to play a little bit differently instead of just like flying around and everywhere. Like now you actually need to traverse a little bit, which actually I don't think would be the worst thing because you see a lot more of the
Yeah.
world. But
I mean, the way they did the paraglider in Tears, some people didn't get it very
yeah,
quickly after they got to the surface because they didn't know. They were just like, I'm just gonna go explore over here and not have my. Where do I get the paraglider? You know?
I mean fair, but so that's my point is like it's a useful unique item. It doesn't break, but it's yours and it really helps you navigate the world. I think like I think they really need to and like maybe Ascend transforms into an item kind of like that, right?
Yeah,
Like maybe I don't know.
you could get a special crystal, and if you have it, you can ascend
Yeah.
and stuff.
Like I don't think the champion abilities and stuff like that quite constitute what I'm talking about, but like just like
Hmm.
inventory items that you can actually use in the open world to really help you navigate. Because I think that like while the champion items that you get in both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom can be useful, they can also not be useful for like a lot of your adventure.
Yeah,
And I think that like it's really missing like just having like you get the hook shot. Now, oh great, I can hook shot across this bridge that's broken or whatever, right? Like, so I think that needs to come back, like the permanent items that really help you.
Yes, I agree.
Hey everyone! If you enjoyed this clip and want to see more of the Zelda Cast, make sure to head over to your favorite podcast platform of choice and subscribe. There are over 200 episodes in the vault that will provide you with hundreds of hours of Zelda content for you to enjoy. You can listen to us when you're on a walk, fighting Ganon, trying to sleep, whatever. And if you want to see these shows as they happen, make sure to head over to twitch.tv/The Zelda Cast, where you can watch our beautiful faces talk about Zelda every single week. Don't miss out, and we'll see you next time.